Hey guys, what's up? Alan here, coming up with another tutorial. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Some of you guys have been asking me for a mixing tutorial, so I'm gonna be showing you guys how I mix my beats, just me personally. Before we get into it, just want to thank you guys for all the love and support. You know, yeah, just keep it up. So like after I'm done making the beat and I'm about to get ready to start, mixing it, I just get my headphones, these like cheap $30 Sony headphones. You don't really want to use nice speakers or headphones to mix because, or by nice headphones I mean some like Beats or something like that, because they kind of boost the frequencies and you're not actually hearing the true sound. Like you're just hearing something that's kind of like modified for like a better listening experience. But when it comes to mixing, like you actually need to hear, the frequency for what it actually is. So yeah, I just mix on these cheap $30 headphones. I kind of been doing this ever since I started, and I still do it nowadays. But yeah. First things first is I take everything that's in the beat, so that's like effects, all the sounds that I use, and the drums, and I just make it all zero. First things first is I have the master low at 90. Me personally, my beats clip a little bit. They get really loud, so I just kind of turn it down to 90, or even sometimes like 85. But yeah, I just have the master a little bit low. So basically, how I start my mix is with the main melody, the main sound, and in this beat, it's this piano. So I think every beat kind of has like a main sound, and you kind of want to structure your melody around it. So I have these pads that kind of complement it, and they're a little bit under, but they're not like going crazy or like overpowering or anything. But yeah, this is the main sound. So I did export it as a wave, but in Omnisphere, I just took out some low end, I boosted up the highs, and I added like a little bit of reverb to make it more like spacious. But yeah, and it's not that loud, so I'm just gonna leave it at 100%. Next thing was like this little pad, kind of just complements it. So like when I'm mixing my melody and like leveling like each sound, I'm kind of just getting a feel for it. Like I don't want this pad to be like overpowered and like louder than this piano, make it sound like this. I want it under this piano. So you could still hear it, but it's like not going crazy. So I'll probably have it around like 85, 80, around there. And then the same thing, like just take out some low end, boost the high ends, and add some reverb. I just kind of do this with most of my sounds. And then next thing is this next pad. Take out a little bit more low end than usual, and I kind of just kept the highs where they were at. And this is what it sounded like. So these supporting sounds, like both of these pads, are really like low key. They're not overpowering. It's really ambient. It's really soft. I mean, that's how I like to make my beats. Like I always like using a soft pad to kind of complement the main melody. But yeah, they're not going crazy, and they're under the piano. That's how I like to mix. Um, as far as like mixing, like I feel like people overcomplicate it. All you gotta do is really just level your stuff. Make sure things aren't too loud, things aren't too quiet, and yeah. For this beat, that was pretty much all that was for the melody. Um, and yeah, shit. Let's go to the drums. So as far as mixing drums, like I don't really do too much. I do have a preset for the claps and snares that make it a little bit more louder and like higher. So this is what it sounds like without the effects. Oops, my bad. This is what it sounds like without it, and that's what it sounds like with it. So it just sounds way better. That's the only thing I do as far as mixing and like adding effects to each drum. It's just the claps and the snares to make them sound a little bit more louder and crisp. When I start mixing the drums, I'll usually have just one instrument playing, which will usually be the main one, and then I usually start with the hi hat. So you don't want the hi-hat too loud, because if it's too loud, like it'll start clipping, especially with the 808 playing, and you don't want that. Around 90 to 95, at least for me, is like fine. Next thing I'll do is the claps. These effects kind of make the clap pretty loud, so I usually have to turn it down. Like, but usually 85, 90 is usually sufficient. And then the snare, whatever snare that I have that's gonna layer, I usually have it slightly like lower than the clap, just so that it's not too loud. So yeah, it's pretty simple. It's not extremely loud, like, but it's not like quiet. Same thing with the open hat. Probably bring down like 85, 90. Next thing with the 808, depends on the 808, but this one I'm using a Spins 808. I just boost the velocities and I bring the volume up here. And I'll have it around like 85, 90. And then this kick that I use, I kind of use the same kick, but for most kicks, I don't want them like too punchy. So I'll have it around the same volume as the 808, just like slightly louder. And then really the last thing is like if I have any effects that I'm using in the beat, I'll have them like pretty under. Like they're not gonna be that loud, but like it's still noticeable. So this is like an uplifter that I use almost every beat. Have it around 80. Sometimes I'll bring it on 70, 60. It really depends on like how much is going on in the beat, how much instruments I got, etc., etc. But yeah, other than that, like my mixing process really isn't that complicated. Like I don't use much effects. My master is usually empty. I used to use a what's it called? I used to use a soft clipper, and then I would get a EQ and bring up these highs a little bit, like just a tad bit. You know, sometimes that kind of glues the beat together, it just makes it sound slightly better. But majority of the time, this master is just empty. I just don't do anything to it because I don't think it's necessary. But that's just me personally, though. I'm not knocking anyone that does do shit to their master. But yeah, very simple mixing process. Yeah, that's how I do my shit. Another thing I'll say is like, you know, sometimes like producers be fucking up their own beats by like just over mixing everything, adding a bunch of effects for no reason. Like TM88 said it once in a Genius video. He's like, all you gotta do is just level your stuff, make sure everything's the right volume. And that's what I do. Like I really don't, add a bunch of shit. Other than these like clap snare presets and taking out low end and some of the instruments, just to kind of clean it up, make sure it's not like, as muddy. But that's all I do. Like it's very simple mixing process. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching this tutorial. I hope you learned something from this video and hopefully you can apply it to your own beats. I'm gonna try to make more tutorials. I don't know what exactly I'll do, but I do want to start doing this type of shit more often. And yeah, that's it. Easy, guys.